everybody, it's Mr. Chemist from Regular Biology. I hope you're having a good day off or so. We definitely got 9 or 10 inches on our deck full this morning. That's good. But I want to share with you the assignments and expectations for your e-learning day. I think it's easier to do a little lesson. We got pretty good at doing these during. Oh, here is my screen for today. Last time we did lions versus elephants digestion lab, and so we wanted to have you finish that up and turn it. So I created a turn in for that. You'll need to finish it. So most groups got done with this page where they had to digest the proteins and then build them back together. Muscle collagen for its proteins used by the cell for transportation in moving molecules in and out. So paste it and it goes down. You had to count the bonds and calculate the energy. Remember, chemical bonds store energy. So when you break them, when you make them, you have to use energy. And for this lab, we're using $10. Nice number for you. And this is one of the reasons proteins are not a good source of energy. We digest them here. And we use the digested amino acids to build more protein. So that costs energy. Not, So instead, lions get their energy from eating the fats. And the science word for fat is lipid. It's lipid. The second half of the lab is digesting cellulose. So that's the herbivore diet. So make sure you check that part out. This one, you don't have to cut and paste physical paper. You just have to look at the bottom. So here we have the elephant eating plants. In the cell wall of the plant cells is cellulose. It's plant fiber. And actually on our human food nutrition, we call that fiber on the food labels. This is hard for organisms to digest because most of us don't have the enzymes. We can have bacteria in our guts trying to break that down. That works pretty well. It takes a long time, and I hope you have a cecum as well. That's extra part of the digestive system. But most of those bacteria that will break down cellulose and give you time to digest. So what's cool about the cellulose is it's these long chains of glucose. Okay? Chain of glucose is usually called starch. And then this one has little links in between the chains. They're called cross links. And that's what gives it that fibery quality and it makes it hard to digest. We're going to zoom in on four little parts of this molecule. Here you can see where glucose is linked together. That's for step 2. And on it, try to digest this. The first step is to break this bond here. Okay. We'll take these 4 monomers and split them into 2. And then the next step 4, we're gonna break this bond here, break this bond here. This is continuing our digestion. We're continuing our digestion. Break the bond into the monomer. So at step 4, we have 4 simple sugars, glucose molecules, and those can be used directly by the cell during cellular respiration. So once this digestion is complete, these molecules can be gathered in the small and large intestines and go into the bloodstream. And the bloodstream will transport around the body. And then once they're inside of the cell, they can be used for energy. A similar process would be true for digesting the proteins. Not used for energy, they'll be used for structure. And also for lipids. flip it so we'll get downward to lower to this. Digestion. We'll finish this one up and turn that one in. Okay. That's worth 3. Okay. And then I also wanted to make sure that you were working on this one. We will go over this in class tomorrow, but you should have a pretty good start on it. So look at the monomers for carbs, proteins, lipids, nucleic acids, what elements are in there. We've been talking about those this week in last week on Thursday. Give some of the functions, and I have a little bit of help for you on the protein functions today. Examples. Go back to Thursday's lesson last week. There's quite a few good examples. And then make sure you're practicing your drawings. On Tuesday this week, we did a lot of drawings. Just put a diagram in there. Then this last column down here, this last row down here is lion versus elephant. Which one is eating which one? Which ones give energy to lions or elephants? That's kind of the main idea. Here is kind of a summary of the digestion lab, which I rather like. Okay, here's the steps that you did. You ate the meat. You're the lion. So you had to get those. Then you did digestion. You broke the chemical bonds in between of the squares, and you released 10 kilocalories for each cut or bond that was broken. The third step is absorption. This is where those molecules that have been digested get absorbed into the blood, transported around the body, and we didn't actually model that. And then the fourth part is making new molecules inside of the cells. The fancy science word for this is biosynthesis. Build new molecules. That's where you made the fur. Collagen, the muscle, and the cell transport. So this would be a good little summary that you could put in your notes and in your lesson tracker. Well, that's kind of like a full process of what. And then here's some help for the different functions of proteins. Proteins are so essential for life. They do a lot of the work for the body. Here's some of the possibilities. We have, they are used as enzymes that help with digestion, which we saw directly in this lab. They are the basis for building muscles and muscle contraction and movement. They provide physical support for the body. It helps link the cells together inside of the cells. For your immune system, the antibodies are made out of proteins. Actually, DNA and proteins work pretty closely together. The proteins regulate DNA and RNA, will help with copying DNA and making RNA, which is cool. Proteins help move molecules. Hemoglobin in the blood helps move oxygen. We also saw in the lab that on the outside of cells, there's different. And lastly, some of the hormones are made from proteins. Some of them are made from lipids. These are secondary messengers that help communicate between different parts of the body. We call these things hormones. So some of them are protein-based. Okay. That's all I have to say about that one. And we talked about the building blocks chart. And then you have this additional assignment to do on your e-learning day. It's called the CER practice. And this one is worth 2 points, so make sure you turn this one in as well. For this one, you have to support this claim. Elephants and lions do not use proteins for energy needed to survive. So you're gonna have to support both parts of that argument. Elephants use mostly blank for energy. And give 3 pieces of evidence. You can use evidence from this up here. You can use evidence from the macromolecules investigation that we did last week, Thursday. You can use evidence from the lion digestion as well. So let me walk you through this a little bit. So lions, if they're carnivores, they eat mostly fats and proteins when they eat meat. Get energy from the fat, and then they get raw materials to build if there's not a whole lot of carbohydrates that they eat. That is not. They do eat the nucleotides, the DNA, in all cells. So all animals, when they're eating, they get some of that nucleic acid. And then we can use those to make our own DNA. Okay, elephants. Elephants are herbivores. They're kind of our model for herbivores. They eat mostly carbs and proteins. So that carbs and proteins are found in plants. Carbs are used for energy, especially when cellulose gets digested into starch, it gets further digested. Make sure you have big sequence here of herbivores so you can host bacteria. The proteins that are found in plants are then used for structure as well. The raw materials to so you can talk about the digestion there, what they eat, and where they get energy from. They don't get energy from. And the reasoning down here, make sure you tie in the biochemistry. So go back to this summary. Right? Go back to the lesson from last Thursday, where you have drawings of the molecules. There's kind of 3 big ideas there. For one, the more carbon-carbon bonds you have, the more energy is stored. So those fat molecules with the long chains of carbon, they're going to store more energy. If you have just glucose molecules, it will store less energy. Type of molecules, what are they used for? So make sure you use all of these types of molecules on the chart: carbs, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. What are they used for? How are we eating? And then number 3, actually physically draw and label some. Last Thursday's lesson had a lot of molecules. My board on Tuesday just drew for like 20 minutes. So make sure you draw some of the molecules. Label carbon-carbon bonds. Talk about how much energy is released and how much energy is available in those carbon-carbon bonds. So really work on your biochemistry as well. That's a big idea for this. What is being eaten to the biochemistry of it. Okay. So that should get you to the end of your e-learning day. I hope you have a good time with your snow day yesterday. And then today you have some. I'm excited about that. And to see you guys again tomorrow. And we'll continue with learning about the digestion. Have a good day, everybody.